I would like to show my respect and acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which these interviews take place. I would also like to respectfully acknowledge the Wangal people, who are the traditional custodians of the land on which I live and work. Hi, I'm Prema, the host of this podcast, What Can We Do? I started this podcast in 2019 because I was feeling overwhelmed and anxious about issues affecting communities. There's so much going on in this world, so much to address, so much to fix. Where's the best place to start? Here. In each episode, I speak to someone or an organization that's making impact. You will learn about the issue, why it exists, the challenges, but most importantly, how you can be a part of the solution. My hope is that you can take away 2 to 3 tips each episode that will support you in your helping journey. Today I have with me Priyanka Kaur.
My name is Priyanka Kaur and I run Mahala, a gift box service made by South Asian women for South Asian women. Each product that goes in the gift box is made by a South Asian woman, and we are a social enterprise. The 50% profit goes back to the community, not-for-profit organization called Australian South Asian Centre. Australian South Asian Centre is a community where we support women from the South Asian background to be the impact leaders or be creatives or an entrepreneur. I'm an artist. I'm a visual artist. I also do resin art.
So we'll talk about Mahala today.
Yeah.
Does Mahala actually mean anything specific?
I'm a Punjabi Sikh from Sikh religion. Mahala, my mom, she used to recite Punjabi and the Gurbani to me, there's a word Mahala that comes in the Gurbani quite a lot, and I asked her what that means, and she told me like it's a position in time. It's just pause in the moment. It's a chapter in time. It's a position in time to just pause and rest, and then open up a new chapter. Obviously, COVID pandemic hasn't been easy for a lot of creatives and artists. So, when I spoke to a lot of other women as well, especially South Asian friends, and they were having the same issues. So that is where Mahala came on board. So in Punjabi, it's about like chapter, position, and time. But in Hindi, if you look at Mahala word, it's like a neighborhood, a place, being in this position in time. With my sisters, and to create a strong sisterhood in businesses.
You formed Mahala during the pandemic. Was it a response to being in lockdown and wanting to support other South Asian women creatives?
Yes, correct. So as an artist, I've been running my business for more than 3 years, and I thought how else I can provide support to more South Asian women who are doing like side hustles. I had friends who were candle maker, and they're struggling with their business of how they market their business, how to sell it. And not a lot of women know how to do those marketing gigs. They are good at making stuff. And I think that's the quality of us being South Asian women. We are so enriched with the qualities of creation. We can create a lot of stuff, but we don't know how to market ourselves out there. And I thought I can support them a bit more with my marketing skills. And also my workplace sent me a box, and it had all these little goodies in there. And I was just like, and I was looking up each individual small business that was part of the box. And I'm like, this is so cool. And I thought, why there's not a single item made by South Asian women? I know a girl who does candle. I know a girl who make cookies, Why would not I put a box together, which is by South Asian women, and then the proceeds will go back to the community again.
Why were you looking at South Asian women? Was there sort of a gap that you noticed there that you were trying to address?
I think South Asian community here in Australia is now, I think it's a fastest growing population here in Australia. And seeing my friends over in UK and US, they already have such a strong South Asian community based. There are a lot of creatives over there. There are a lot of artists over there who are growing and already has achieved quite a lot. But here in Australia, I don't see a lot of South Asian women specifically be a leader or, in the creative space. Like I myself is South Asian, but I don't know any other South Asian women who is out there as an artist, or who is an artist full time, who is also a South Asian. So that lack of representation, that lack of women in the space of art and creatives, I just feel like we need more women in the arts and creative space itself. Maybe I won't be able to support them quite a lot and have them turn their businesses as like a full-time business, but if I can help them run their side hustle, be able to support themselves, find their financial freedom or independence, even in a little bit, I think that is my starting point.
How do you actually support them then? Is it that you showcase their products or you sell their products?
Yes, I buy their products and then I do all the marketing for them, obviously. And then I'm not only, if I'm selling a Mahala box, in each box, you will find those items in it. I'm the buyer for them. And then I do the marketing of Mahala. So when I'm marketing one box, then I'm marketing their products as well. So their product also find more audiences afterwards. And then I sell Mahala myself.
Why was it important for you to funnel the money back to the Australian South Asian Centre?
Because as a treasurer and also as a volunteer for Australian South Asian Centre, I've seen myself of how much of a work we've done. We empower more South Asian women in the creators and art space. We give them the limelight that they deserve in the media as well. And we also run a book club. So we only read the books written by South Asian writers and authors. And we meet together and we normalizing and taking the fear out of those of South Asian women to write their own stories. When we amplify more South Asian women and their work, we're normalizing for them to come out in the public and share their stories and be the leaders or be the entrepreneurs or be the arts or the creatives. So this is like us normalizing all these aspects of the life, not just be what they've been told to do. As a business, I'm compelled to give it back to community because we thrive in a community.
What was your own experience growing up as a South Asian woman?
Well, I grew up in India and I've been in Australia for it's been about 7 years. In India, you live in a very restricted and very confined and very safe environment. You're told to do this, you're told not to do this. So when I moved to Australia, I felt very lost in the beginning, but I was blessed to have part of my family here who supported me coming to Australia, not knowing like how to grow in this community, this cultural difference here, the things which are like wearing short dresses, keeping your hair open, wearing makeup, all these basic things are such a normal thing here in Australia. But as a South Asian, back in India, it's such a like no, you're not supposed to be wearing short clothes, cover yourself all the time. So that cultural difference that I witnessed, and took me a while to embrace this, like, you've got to be very open and comfortable with your own skin, in your own skin. But again, in the art sector, I felt there was a huge lack of representation. I've painted a couple of artworks, which is just South Asian women, and I remember I went to a market and I took that painting with me. It's called Dancing Rani. It was an image of a woman dancing, in a Punjabi attire. And it's a beautiful painting. It was appraised by a lot of other South Asian community. But I took it to a market. I remember this instance of this guy. He was a art curator or a gallery curator or something like that. And he looked at the painting and he's like, it's a beautiful painting. It's amazing. I'm like, oh, thank you. I was really happy with that, And, but he's like, it's not going to sell. I'm like, what? And he's like, no, it's not going to sell. Obviously Australians won't buy it. Like, that's not the audiences. I'm like, but it's not like I'm not always painting for the audience. I'm painting to also represent the South Asian community. To see that response, I felt a little bit like, okay, so this is the majority of people who think when they see South Asian art, because I think that South Asian art is going to be confined to South Asian audience, but not to the broader audience.
It really sounds like the South Asian community needed something like Mahala. So yeah. When you launched Mahala, what was the response like?
Oh, I had an amazing response. I had really, really good response. So we already established a really great, strong community with this Australian South Asian Centre. So when I launched it and I work until like 1 a.m. and I was just like sending emails out to all the community members, to all the people I knew about, I'm like, this is happening. And then literally next day I was getting orders over orders. So the response was amazing. And I felt personally very, very happy because the women that I support, that I buy the products from, some of the women are still a very like a side hustle, very small. It's amazing because then I get to market their products when I'm marketing Mahala.
You mentioned when you moved here, representation of South Asian artists, especially women, was lacking, I guess. How
Yeah.
did you go looking for art or artists that you could purchase from? Was that an easy process?
No, no, I barely knew anyone who was another South Asian artist, and I was just quite astounded and amazed as well, like why they're not. Now I'm talking about back about 4 years ago. Barely anyone. Now I can see a lot of illustrators, a lot of artists who do the portraits as well. I can see, and I think also it's a boom of the social media at the moment, specifically with the COVID. A lot of people had spare time to actually practice their passion of what they were, yearning to do, but obviously in 9 to 5 jobs and the, main lifestyle, they never get a chance to do it. But now the rise of Instagram, the rise of social media has helped them to actually pick up those, small passion projects, and they actually started promoting their work on social media again. So it's easier to find now. I haven't seen a lot of South Asian artists in the major platforms. That's what I feel like we need to have more artists on the major platforms like Blue Thumb. Blue Thumb is a major platform for art,
You're only 2 months in. I'm sure you will get there.
And considering this Christmas time here at the moment, a lot of people are purchasing gifts, and gift boxes have become a new, love language. People give each other gift boxes because it's a exchange of gifts between friends, family, even for colleagues as well. So yeah, hopefully, by the end of this year, we'll be able to support more women, through Mahala.
What is the challenge in doing the type of work that you're trying to do, especially in your case, because you're working with such a niche community?
A lot of people here, they say that they're supporting multicultural and diverse, women from diverse background or businesses from diverse background. But when it comes to actually doing it, it's not there yet. I can see a bit of a hesitation of why only South Asian women? Why not other women? Like, kind of a thing. Or why are you not supporting women from different culture? I mean, kudos, like I'm pretty sure other cultures supporting their community as well. But when that question comes in, then I feel like, well, I guess I am compelled to support my own community at the moment because nobody else is doing it, So I gotta do it. This is my responsibility. And as much as I love to support everyone, I gotta start from somewhere small, and this is my community. I know them, they know me. I know my community struggle, the challenges that they face. My impacts to support South Asian community will be much broader and bigger than supporting other communities. And I'm pretty sure other communities are doing amazing things.
I totally get you. I think I have done work in this space where I want to work with certain organizations, and people are like, but why aren't you working with all organizations? And you're like, well, I know how to help the people that I understand, and there are other people that can help other groups. And
exactly.
I think sometimes it's more about starting in your own backyard or in your own home and then branching out. What's the most important thing you've learned in setting this up?
It's as bizarre as it sounds, right at the beginning when we were talking about you reaching out to me as a cold calling. I think that's an important lesson I learned myself, because even though I'm like a very outgoing person, but there are times when I didn't feel like I can. I felt intimidated that how can I just like slide into someone's DM, and it's just like weird. What if they think I'm stalking them, I'm creepy, or just a weird person? But I guess to not have your fear overtake your ideas. I think that's an important lesson I learned, that a lot of people out there, they want to be connected. As much as I want to be connected to other people, they want the same. So if I don't reach out to them, I'm gonna miss out knowing someone who is doing an extraordinary work, who can possibly motivate me, or who can possibly, I can have a very deep and longer friendship with. So I guess that's a lesson I learned, to reach out to people and everyone wants to be loved, everyone wants to be heard, everyone wants to grow, and everyone wants to grow together.
Why is supporting South Asian women in getting their work seen important?
The thing is that a lot of women in our own community, it's all about saving money. But I want to really change that narrative and make it like women are really good at making money as well. Just change that gender difference, not like not all men are supposed to be creator of money and women are to save money, but women should be also know how to create money. And I think I know how to create money through my artistic and creative skills, and I see there are a lot of other women who also have that same skill. So why don't we give them a chance to create money through their passion? They love painting. Why don't you sell your painting and make money out of it? You love cooking. Why don't you sell your cooking recipe book, or, I don't know, you create a product that can sell as a consumable.
I guess it's also a cultural, not just, I think, a women thing. I think with South Asian communities, pursuing passion isn't something that we're taught. We're kind of
Absolutely.
taught, we're more duty bound, right?
Yes.
Like, this is this stage of life, you do this and you do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, you're hitting 30, you should be married, you should have kids, like all those duties by this certain age. It's such a standard, normalized thing. You really want to change those narratives, and you can pick up a side hustle anytime in your life. It doesn't have to be there shouldn't be any timeline for that.
How can people find out about your work or purchase boxes?
So at the moment, it's all under my page, artbypriyanka.com.au. The first thing you will see is Mahala boxes in there. When you click on the link, there are 5 type of boxes at the moment. And you can find my Instagram as well, mahala.au.
If there's one thing you want people to take away from this interview in terms of supporting underrepresented artists, what would that be?
Supporting a community at a broader level, that is what we are doing. When we grow, we give it back to the community in a bigger level, and then we thrive and we grow together. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe or follow it on social media. Your support will help this podcast reach more listeners. You can also check out the podcast and transcripts on whatcanwedopodcast.com. This podcast is produced by Samuham Media.